Good afternoon and welcome back everybody to my channel. This is LMB Simmer and today I am bringing you my Sims cast introduction video. We are going to start off today with our main heroine, Aylah Walker. Aylah came to live with the Rykers when she was a child. Her parents had passed away when she was a toddler. Her father's name was Noel Walker and her mother's name was Susie Walker. They grew up in Hidden Springs and fell in love very young. Their families disapproved, and then shortly after, of course, Susie gave birth to Aylah, and the family was just kind of getting in the way. So even though Noel wanted to become a firefighter and Susie wanted to become a stylist, they decided that maybe they needed to move away from their families so that there would be less interference. So they moved their little family to Willow Creek, and that's where Aylah grew up, was in Willow Creek, until her parents had an unfortunate accident and passed away. Her father passed away first, followed by her mother, and so she kind of had a very sad childhood, but her toddler years were great. Her parents were wonderful. They had a cute little loving family, and they lived next door to a social worker named Irma Anderson, and Irma took Aylah in and took over her case, and then found her the Rykers as a foster home, and that's where Aylah has been since she was a child, and that's where and so she's grown up in this household. She's now a teenager, a senior in high school, and she's getting ready to start her young adulthood and move out of the Ryker home. So that is Aylah's background story. Then going to the next one, which is Beauregard Kelly. He is also one of the teenagers and foster kids in the Ryker home. And his background story is that his mother was deemed unfit. She was a drug addict, and there was no record of who his father was, but he was taken into foster care and given to the Rykers because his mother was a drug addict, so she couldn't care for him anymore. And that's where he came into the picture when he was a child as well. But he was originally from Bridgeport. And then we have Xavier Gray. And Xavier Gray, he's actually the eldest of the foster children, and his parents died in a plane crash. He grew up in Sunset Valley before coming to live with the Rykers in Newcrest. He had a good, loving family home. His parents were married, and they just had a good family home as well. But when his parents went to go visit some family in Aurora Skies, their plane crashed over the ocean, and they were lost at sea, so that's why he came to live with the Rykers. And then the next is the brother and sister. So Gianna, she is the second eldest foster child, and Gianna Perez, she and her brother grew up with a single mother, and she was pregnant with Rafe when their father filed for divorce and left them. So their mother decided to change their name back to her maiden name and her name as well legally after divorcing their father. Their mother was on their way to work one morning and she got ran over, and that's how she passed away, and they came to live with the Rykers. So their family died and they grew up in Lucky Palms. And then finally, for the children, we have Mia Ryker, and that is the Rykers' own daughter. She was born shortly after Paul and Camila got married, and she's kind of what started them being foster parents. They wanted to become foster parents, and I'll get in that in just a second when I talk about their backgrounds, but basically that's how Mia came about. She was kind of Paul's push for Camila to start a family, and surprisingly, they have made a very lovely home for their daughter and their foster children, despite some of the traits that they have. So I didn't go over everybody's traits, so to go back over it, Mia is wanting an aspiration of a successful lineage. So she's domestic and outgoing and self-assured. And Gianna wants to be a master chef. So she has the essence of flavor. She's family orientated. She's a foodie and self-assured. And then her brother Rafe wants to have a big happy family, so he's domestic. He's got the bro trait. He loves the outdoors and he's active. And then Xavier, he is an outdoor enthusiast aspiration with the collector trait, and then he's a bro, loves the outdoors and is also active. And then Beauregard, he has the musical genius aspiration, so he's a muser and he's good and he's a music lover. And then Aylah, she wants to find her soulmate, so she's alluring, cheerful, and creative. And then let's get to the parents. So I think Camila has one of the most interesting story backgrounds, so we'll start with her. So Camila's maiden name was Flores, and it looks like her name still is Camila Flores, so I need to change that because I thought I had already changed her last name. So we'll go ahead and do that right now while we're doing that and just take care of that. So Camila Ryker's maiden last name was Flores. Her aspiration is party animal, so her traits are gregarious, hates children, self-assured, and outgoing. And Camila, she grew up in Appaloosa Plains. She had a loving family life, and her parents worked, her father was a horse wrangler and worked for her best friend Valerie's family. But her mother tried to save a child from being trampled by a horse and passed away, and that is why Camila hates children. She hates children because basically her mom died because of a child trying to save a child. So her dad, of course, killed the horse that killed her mother, and he was sued and he lost his job and he became an alcoholic, and so she had a really poor upbringing. Children made fun of her, so that just solidified her hate for children. And then when she graduated high school, she went to a party with Valerie, and that's where she met Paul Ryker, and along with his friends Naya and Jace, and they decided to leave and move to San Myshuno to start a better life. So for a while, they shared an apartment with the other couple. And then when Camila was feeling like she was being maybe she was more in love with Paul, not because she was in love with him, but just because he saved her from her crummy childhood. So she wasn't sure if her love for him was real. So she had joined the group, I believe it's called the Party House group. She joined for a short while, and she ended up having a short-lived affair with Marcus. She really thought she was in love with Marcus, but he didn't feel the same way, and once she realized her heart was kind of broken, and then she decided that she would go with Paul after all, that what she had with Paul was real, and so they decided to create a life together. So then going on to Paul Ryker, he grew up in Twin Brooks along with his buddy Jace. They got into a lot of trouble growing up. He had a bad family life. His dad was very abusive, and his mother wasn't strong enough to stand up against his dad, so they both sustained a lot of abuse over the years, and his father used to call him lazy, and so he would do odd jobs and save his money. And then when he had enough, him and Jace decided to move away. Along the way, they stopped in Riverview, and that's where they met Naya, and she'll be in another introduction video. I'll do another introduction video for the minor characters there. So then on a weekend trip to Appaloosa Plains, that's where he met Camila. He fell in love. He wanted her to come with them, so she did, to San Myshuno, and again they shared an apartment with the other couple. And although Camila thinks her affair wasn't known by Paul, Paul was aware all the time, and he just was silently waiting for her, hoping she would realize that Marcus was just stringing her along and what they had was real. And so he was very happy when she came back to him and decided that they would get married. So when she first came back to him was right about the time that their friends had had a baby, and then they went to prison and they were in charge of taking care of their baby for a while. And that's when Paul developed this devised this plan, like, let's become foster parents, because we can become foster parents and we can get a house and we can get married and we can have kids and we can kind of use some of the foster money to help us get by. You know, he grew up a troubled kid, so he was in it in the beginning all for the money. But it turned out that they had to get the house, and they had to get one of them had to get a job, and the other one had to stay at home, and ended up being him who had to go out and get the job. But he ended up liking his job, and I thought he was going to hate his job, but he actually really liked his job in the culinary career, and he's kind of hoping to get into the mixology career. But he did some fast thinking and stuff because he wanted to become do the foster parent thing originally as kind of a scheme. So he kind of convinced Camila that they should get married, and then he convinced her it was time to have a baby right away so that they would have a family, so the social workers would look at them as a better household to send kids in. And that is how their story began. And so that is how we came to be where we're at. So then the next thing I want to introduce is a little bit of the neighborhood and their house, so that I can give props to the people who built the houses and some of the lots. I haven't done any major building in The Sims 4 yet, so I have taken other people's builds and have used them, and some of them I have modified a little bit, but I'm still learning. It took me a while. Funny enough, it took me a while to figure out how to do fences, because for some reason, fences are not as easy as they were in Sims 3. So it took me a couple tries to figure out how to build a fence, and that was frustrating enough. So when I have some more time, I will check out some building and hope to build some of my own builds going forward. So right now, the Rykers, they live in this beautiful house and home. Let me see if I can get you a good shot of it. So that's what it looks like. So I did add the fence to it and put it on this lot, but this home was built by Ruthless KK, and it's called Sherrie's Suburban, and then it's on the Sandy's Runs lot here in Newcrest. And then the park that you see next door, it was actually the Maxis build park, and I didn't really modify too much that I know of in here. I did add the basketball court, and I think I added the puppet thing, and that's probably about it there. Then down the street, originally I used one of these for Aylah's home in Willow Creek, and that's how I got her to move into this save, because she was actually a separate game save. And so this lovely two homes here, they're the same duplexes. They are called the Civic Cliffs Duplex, and they were built by Stunt 209 Loco 8. I hope I'm saying that correct. And so those are on the Hillside, Highlands lot, and the Civic Cliff lot in Newcrest. And then the only other two lots that I have placed here in this world are in the smaller, or the smaller, well, they're not really the smaller neighborhood, but the lots are the smaller ones here in Newcrest. But I placed in the Fern Park lot, I placed a build that was called 2 Newcrest Street by Mandy Berry 97, and then over here in the Comfy Cubby lot, I placed the Comfy Cubby Cafe, and that build was done by MayaMOO, I think is how you say it, MayaMOO. And those are the only lots that I've done right now for Newcrest. Those are the only ones that I have placed. So I wanted to give props to all those people who built all these lovely lots and homes that I have been using. I love them. They are awesome. So thank you guys. And then that is pretty much the end for this introduction. I will do a separate video for the minor characters, because right now there's 4, and 3 of them are the family with Jason and Naya, their son, and then the other one is the Irma. And then this guy, I didn't play him, but EA dropped him in here, so he's hanging out in there. But one of these two was originally Aylah's home that I moved in here, like I said, so I could save all their stuff to inventory when I moved games. And so that is it for now. Thank you guys for visiting my channel. I appreciate it. Again, if you like it, go ahead and like down below, or go ahead and hit the like button, comment down below, and again, thank you. Bye-bye.